Imagine turning a modest, everyday civil servant salary into a massive multi-million-dollar fortune. I know, it sounds like fiction, but it's the absolutely true story of a woman named Anne Scheiber. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how she pulled it off.
So you've got to be asking yourself, how is that even possible? The whole incredible story really comes down to this one simple question. How does an ordinary civil servant,
who, and get this, at the absolute peak of her career was making less than $4,000 a year,
somehow manage to build a staggering $22 million fortune? It seems completely unbelievable, right? But it's true, and we're about to find out exactly how she did it.
Okay, so to understand the how, first we've really got to understand the who.
Anne Scheiber was a low-level auditor for the IRS. I mean, she wasn't some Wall Street genius or a Silicon Valley founder. She was just a hard-working government employee who hung up her hat back in 1944 at the pretty young age of 51.
And here's a really crucial part of her story. Even though she was a fantastic worker, she was just constantly passed over. She never got a single promotion, and it was likely because she was a woman and Jewish in an era when, workplace discrimination was just rampant. That whole experience, though, it lit a fire in her, a quiet determination that would basically shape her entire financial future.
So after she retired, Anne took on a whole new challenge, growing her small nest egg. And this kicked off a 50-year journey that wouldn't just secure her future, it would turn her into an investing legend.
So when she walked out the door for the last time, she had just $21,000 to her name. That was it. That was the tiny seed that this massive fortune would eventually sprout from.
Now, let's put that into perspective. 21 grand back in 1944 is about $297,000 today. I mean, it's a decent amount of money, for sure, but it's hardly enough to fund a comfortable retirement for 50 years.
And this timeline just shows you the mind-blowing power of her long-term thinking. She started in 1944, and then she just patiently let her investments do their thing and compound for over 5 decades. By the time she passed away in 1995, at an incredible 101 years old, that little nest egg had exploded into $22 million.
Her story really hits home because it taps into something we all dream about. Like one source put it, most of us just want a nest egg that's big enough to let us retire and live a peaceful life. And, well, she took that dream to a completely different level.
So, what was the secret sauce? Did she win the lottery, find a hidden inheritance? Nope. The answer is all in the incredible returns she was able to get year in and year out.
Okay, this is where her genius really comes into play. Check this out. Over that same 51-year period, the S&P 500, the benchmark for the U.S. stock market, it averaged about a 7.5% return each year. But Anne, doing her own careful research into solid blue-chip companies, nearly doubled that. She averaged 14.6% a year. That consistent outperformance, compounded over half a century, that was the secret engine that built her incredible wealth.
So what can we all learn from Anne's amazing journey? What are the big takeaways from her just remarkable discipline?
First, let's just take a second to really grasp the true size of her success. That $22 million she left behind in '95, in today's money, that's equivalent to about $36 million, all from a starting point of less than 300 grand. It's astonishing.
So if you boil her strategy down, it really comes down to 4 key principles. First, she just started with what she had, which proves you don't need a fortune to get started. Second, she invested for the really, really long term. We're talking 51 years. Third, she was an active, smart investor, always looking for quality companies that would outperform the market. And finally, she just harnessed that almost magical power of compounding, reinvesting her earnings and letting her money make money for her, decade after decade. That was the formula. Simple, but so powerful.
Anne Scheiber's life is just this incredible reminder of the potential of patience, of discipline, and of having a long-term vision. It really leaves us with one single powerful question. What could 50 years of patience and discipline build in your own life?